Welcome to TradeNBA.com. This is John's reports for the 23rd of March. Well, you can see we've got just some back and forth. We talked about this when we dipped here below the magenta line on the EBM, as well as that pretty clear read from the situation with short-term buyer pump that we were seeing, as well as midterm. Anything above the EBM yellow certainly was a transition point, but not hard to play off of the mid-level ranges within the EBM. And what this leaves us is the potential for a P2 pivot here, a little move up of red. We'll certainly do that from the previous red dip, orange dipping below. All those would generate new buy signal, which would be theoretically enough to push through that 4K target that we've had for quite some time here. The NQ turning back around, back up over 50%. So, everything seemed to find a support point, except for what we could see was happening with gold here, where it was already starting to roll over from this displacement. Actually, if the steel dips below, that should really start to send it further south in the euro again. Like I said, they've got plenty of issues in Europe. Everything from their poor vaccine rollout to shutdowns. In fact, I think even for our Easter, they're just arbitrarily shutting down right before the Easter holiday so nobody goes anywhere. It's called Pasqua. Intraday, well, you can ignore those dots as some additional work that I'm doing on the algorithms and parsing markets. But it was an interesting thing because once we started the uptick, every time we were getting what relatively might look like from short setups, really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, they just literally were flat, and then you end up with moves where you cyan dips back below. Of course, a lot of these, you start, and then instantly you start to see the gold rising here on the shakeout net, and you know that it's going to be short-lived, and usually at that point I'm just looking to get out with anything I can profit-wise. The other thing I always watch for too, and this is part of additional in the coding, when you have steel that's been reset like this from underneath and then you get a DOC spread, those, unless you've had a move back above zero within the last 5 or so bars, those tend to just be flat to pop back up moves. Because you've got this momentum of short-term buyers who've been completely out of it, and you're still getting pretty strong positive from DOC red, particularly if it's up near the zero range. And so when you do get the DOC spread, it comes up real quick, but you've got nothing but strength underlying it, and that often leads to like this, where it will show up and then boom. So making adjustments for those setups within there. But when they finally do come, and there were plenty of these positive extremes, all the way down to the 27 range. So by the time we got up to 44, you get a good 10 or 12 point potential built into them, and so it's just a matter of plugging away with it. Some of the new adjustments I'm making, I think, are going to really define those cleaner. And then sure enough, we came across, and I look for that steel crossing back above as a warning that you're essentially going to turn around. Depends on where you are with your DOC red, and that formed this nice little cut if you're looking at a chart pattern construct of it. And once it made the attempt, and this is what we talk about sometimes, buy routines get put in there and they start moving, and then it just falls apart. And that was the cue right there that wasn't going to happen. So where some of the shorts had failed, you had the successful DOC spread at this particular one. It takes place, and then an attempted move from the algos on the push to the upside rejected, and that leads to what? Decay all the way back down. So clearing all the stops, wiping out most everything from the early part of the day once the actual open took place. So that's how they do it. Clean and simple. They love it that way. As always, though, I will continue my programming attack, so I'm hoping that gets resolved, but if I have breaks in between, I definitely will put up some charts as they're relevant. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.